Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is currently 2 a.m. I woke up around midnight, between midnight and 1, and I looked at my phone to check to see if I won my fantasy football game this week, and I saw that the Bucks traded for Drew Holiday. Let's go! Very exciting day for me as a big Bucks fan, and I can't wait to talk about this. I tried to go back to sleep, but I just couldn't sleep, so I'm gonna make this video, make a draft video, whatever it takes to pass some time before school starts. But oh, this is just such exciting news for me, and I can't wait to talk about it. But before I do, just a reminder to leave a like and subscribe. Lots of content in the future that you should be subscribed for because it helps me, because I get the support, and it helps you because, hey, who doesn't love NBA? And there's lots of NBA talk going on right here. So I think I want to start this off from the Pelicans' perspective, since that was the first trade of the two that was broken, because the Bucks also got Bogdanovic. Do not forget that. Bogey is a perfect fit. A guy who can space the floor, has some shot creation abilities as well. Whoo, this new look Bucks starting lineup is getting me pumped. But we're going to talk about the Pelicans, talk about the Bucks, and then talk about the Kings. So, let's get into it for the Pelicans. They got Eric Bledsoe and George Hill, as well as 3 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps. I know, the Bucks gave up a lot, but those picks are all probably going to be at the bottom of the draft. The pick swaps probably will not convey because I expect the Bucks to probably be a better team than the Pelicans for at least the better part of the next 5 years, if not the entirety of the next 5 years. Depends on the development of the Pelicans' young players like Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. However, overall, I don't think that. I mean, they got 5 first-round picks, so it's a really good return for Drew Holiday, but if I'm being a little pessimistic on this for the Pelicans' part, they had to take back 2 players that don't make a whole lot of sense with their current roster. I'd be kind of surprised if both of these guys remain on the team heading into the season. They already have Lonzo Ball as a point guard, who I think is their point guard of the future, although he is up for a rookie scale extension in this upcoming offseason next year, the offseason of 2021, and he's eligible for that extension now. And if they are very far apart in what his value is, the Lonzo Ball camp and the Pelicans, then I could see him being a potential guy to get moved on from. However, if they do come to an agreement on that extension, I'd be very surprised if the Pelicans hang on to all 3 of these point guards. Bledsoe would be the most obvious guy to get moved because I don't really think that he fits the best with their current roster. He has some overlaps with a guy like Zion Williamson as a head down, get to the rack type player. He doesn't achieve the Pelicans' goal of adding more floor spacing, as he's actually detrimental to spacing. And although he's great on the defensive end of the floor, I still think that those odd offensive fits are a reason why they probably should move on from him. The only question is, how high is Bledsoe's value actually? And I think that's a very legit question after we've seen him struggle in the playoffs. I'm not sure that a contender is going to want to acquire a guy that ends up being worse in the playoffs, and there's really no reason for a rebuilding team to trade for Eric Bledsoe unless they're getting draft compensation along with Bledsoe. So he might have to be on this roster moving forward, which would leave George Hill to be the odd man out in this point guard group. I think that Hill could actually be a really good fit with the Pelicans. He was the NBA leader in 3-point percentage for this past year, so that could really improve their floor spacing. He's got a solid handle, and he's a solid playmaker, and he also plays some solid defense. He's really just a good role player. He does what you need him to do, and he's really good at his role as a 3-and-D point guard. However, that whole idea of him being the third point guard on a team seems like a bit of a waste, and I think you could probably get a late first round pick. Think about the Celtics. This past year, they were playing Brad Wanamaker as their backup point guard. They could give up either the 26th or 30th pick in exchange for George Hill, bring in that backup point guard, and only give up really a late first round pick while the Pelicans could add another pick to their dearth of picks that they currently have. I really would like to see them hang on to Hill because of his shooting ability, but he seems to be the odd man out to me, in my opinion, due to Bledsoe's low trade value. In reality, though, the Pelicans did get so many draft picks for Drew Holiday. I think that this is more than anyone ever could have predicted that they would receive. I was thinking that if the Bucks were to trade for him, they'd probably have to give up 3, but I didn't think that the 2 pick swaps would also apply to it. However, the fact that the Bucks didn't have to give up their best young asset in Dante DiVincenzo allowed them to make another move that we'll talk about in a little bit. So overall, I think the Pelicans did a really good job in getting the draft compensation. I would have liked to see them get players that fit with their roster a bit better, especially if they want to be a playoff team this year. But due to the sheer amount of draft compensation they got, I think that this trade deserves an A on their part for sure. Now we move on to the Bucks, and obviously I am biased as a huge Bucks fan. I should have put my Bucks hat on here. One sec. I'm going to go put that on. Oh, I don't know why I say 1 second, because I can literally pause the video and then I'm back like that. But here we go. We got the hat. So, jersey, hat, nice little combo there. Let's talk about the Bucks. They acquired Drew Holiday. They acquired Bogdan Bogdanovic. They gave up Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, Dante DiVincenzo, DJ Wilson, Ersan Ilyasova, 3 first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. So, yeah, pretty enormous amount of draft picks that they gave up. But overall, player-wise, they really just sacrificed depth. I was a person under the impression that Bledsoe was their clear 4th best player and a guy that they really needed to upgrade in order to become a true championship level team. And this really accomplished that. Drew Holiday is a perfect option to play alongside Giannis Antetokounmpo as a guy that can really D up at the point guard position, doesn't need the ball in his hands too much. His shooting has actually been a bit overrated recently, as he only shoots the ball in like the 33 to 35% range, but that's still decent. It's still league average, so it's an upgrade from Eric Bledsoe in that department, while he's also an excellent defensive option. It also improves our playmaking abilities and overall shot creation abilities as a whole, as Holiday is excellent at creating shots for his teammates, as well as he can score the ball quite a bit himself. So I think that this is a terrific acquisition for the Bucks. I actually don't mind giving up the draft capital because, well, the fact that the Bucks are willing to give up that much is an indication of something to me, and maybe this is a Bucks fan overreacting, but I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to sign the Supermax later this week. So that is obviously very exciting as a Bucks fan, and I'm super hopeful that it actually happens, but I don't know why the Bucks would be so willing to part with so much draft capital if not for having some type of long-term commitment from Giannis. So I'm a believer that he's going to sign that Supermax, and that's very exciting to me. Bogdan Bogdanovic is the other guy that we brought in. Obviously, gave up DiVincenzo for him with DJ Wilson and Ersan Ilyasova, which isn't too big a deal, but I am a giant DiVincenzo fan, and it is sad to me that he's going to be leaving, parting ways with us, but, I'm still going to wear the jersey. I'm still going to rep Dante because I'm a huge fan of him. I think he's got a lot of upside, and I think he's going to end up being a really, really solid starter in the NBA. So congratulations to all you Sacramento Kings fan. You got a good one. But Bogdan Bogdanovic fits the roster a bit better as a wing who can really shoot the ball, also improves that shot creation, has a bit of an ability off the dribble, more of a self-creator than a creator for his teammates, but he's going to really space the floor well for Giannis, and he's the perfect fit. I said Drew Holiday was the perfect fit before, but really I would just say he's a good fit. pretty much any point guard who wasn't Eric Bledsoe would be a good fit, an improvement over Eric Bledsoe. But Bogdan Bogdanovic is the perfect fit as a guy that can really space the floor while also bringing some of that shot creation ability. And I'm just so excited about this new backcourt. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. Outside of that, the Bucks did have to sacrifice a lot of depth as of right now. I'm pretty sure we have 6 guys under contract for next season in Drew Holiday, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Brook Lopez. Best starting lineup in the league for sure, no contest. Bogdan Bogdanovic is our 5th best player. This team is stacked. I'm just getting so pumped. But the 6th guy is the most important player the Bucks have, Thanasis Antetokounmpo, the big energy guy off the bench who comes in and dunks it every once in a while. But it's Giannis's brother. If we're keeping it real, that's why he's on this team. So, yeah, the depth needs improvement. The Bucks are going to have to make smart decisions in free agency on what role players they want to bring in, especially with Robin Lopez and Wesley Matthews declining their player options this week. Hopefully we can bring Wesley Matthews back, although I don't think he would start over Bogdan Bogdanovic. I do think that he would be a really solid option in our wing rotation. He's a good player, and he's also very fun with his whole thing that he does every time he makes a 3. I call him the Archer for that reason, so I hope the Bucks can keep him around. Outside of that, looking to bring in a backup point guard is probably going to be important, as Drew Holiday can also play off the ball. I think Shabazz Napier could be an interesting idea. DJ Augustine would be a guy I would look at. Jordan McLaughlin would be a 3rd option. So those would be some guys I would definitely consider at the backup point guard spot. We need some wing help. Honestly, the Bucks just need everything now. They need all they need to fill up this bench with whatever they can get. On the wings, Sterling Brown, Pat Connaughton, Wesley Matthews are all in-house options that if we can keep them around could be pretty solid options. I would prefer Matthews over the other 2, as we haven't seen Sterling Brown take that step yet into becoming a rotational piece in the NBA. And Pat Connaughton is just such an inconsistent shooter and also has some mental lapses on defense that would make me really question bringing him back over a guy like Wes Matthews. But overall, just filling out that depth. Some other wing options. I'm trying to think of some cheaper guys. I don't think that we'll be able to pay a guy that's going to get the full mid-level like Justin Holiday. But maybe we can get a cheaper guy. Names aren't really coming to my head. Like Kent Bazemore, someone like that could be an interesting option to come off the bench for the Bucks. Backup big man is another spot we need to fill after trading DJ Wilson and Ersan Ilyasova and Marvin Williams retiring. Robin Lopez is an interesting option as a guy who can be very similar to what his brother does on the defensive end of the floor as a good rim protector who can play the drop coverage exceptionally well. However, he doesn't have the same offensive value as his brother, as his jump shot is just not on the same level as Brooks. So he's much less of a threat as a floor spacer. However, bringing him back on the minimum wouldn't be a bad idea. It would be a little odd that he would opt out of his contract just to sign for a smaller contract. But it's the Lopez brothers. They're great guys. Maybe he was just trying to do the Bucks a service. It's certainly possible. After that, some other backup center options I would like would be bringing John Henson back to the MKE. I think that could be an interesting idea, although his lack of an ability to space the floor wouldn't coincide well with Mike Budenholzer's system. Maybe you can bring Thon Maker back, I don't know. But other backup center options, Mason Plumlee could be an option as a guy who's a good playmaker while also being a solid rim protector and rebounder from the center position. I also really like JaVale McGee, although I think he's probably going to opt into this player option with the Lakers. Myers Leonard would be a nice system fit as a guy who can space the floor from the center position. So the Bucks are going to have some options there in free agency, and they have to be very meticulous with who they try to use those smaller contracts on while filling out the rest of this roster. Outside of that, they gave up a lot of depth and made this team very top heavy. However, we saw that formula work for the Lakers, and if the Bucks can make smart moves in free agency and bring in good bench depth, then we could see a very similar result to what we saw with the Lakers this past season. So, for these trades, for the I guess I'll grade them separately. The Drew Holiday trade, I will give the Bucks a B plus because I think that this is a big move for them and a move that they needed to make. They might have given up too much, but that's the price that it's going to take to win a championship. And as a fan, I'm certainly excited to see Holiday in a Bucks uniform. I will certainly be copping a number 11 Bucks jersey. Actually, wait, Brook Lopez is number 11, so Drew might have to switch, but that's a topic for another day. Bogdan Bogdanovic trade, give up Dante DiVincenzo, who is a really good young player that I really like, but he's not as good of a fit as Bogdanovic with the roster. DJ Wilson is kind of a promising energy young big man type, but that's not much. And Elias Silva's non-guaranteed contract, we probably would have just not guaranteed it and declined that option if he would have still been on the roster because he was making $7 million and could have probably brought him back for the minimum at with how his production was this past year. So I don't think that the Bucks gave up too much. I think that this is a pretty even trade, and actually, I kind of feel like the Bucks won this trade. So for the Bogdan Bogdanovic trade, I will give the Bucks an A minus. And last but not least, we move on to talk about the Sacramento Kings. They received Dante DiVincenzo, Ersan Ilyasova, and DJ Wilson in exchange for Bogdan Bogdanovic. Bogdanovic and Buddy Hield had a lot of overlapping skill sets, and for that reason, it appeared that one of them was probably going to be moved on from this offseason. There were rumors about Bogdanovic to the Bucks dating all the way back to last year's trade deadline, but I really didn't believe that it was going to happen. I thought that Hield was much more likely to be the guy that got traded. But hey, there's new management, and apparently they prefer Buddy Hield to Bogdan Bogdanovic. So Hield is still on the roster. I think that it was probably a good decision because I view Buddy Hield's contract as a negative value contract at this moment. So trading him at this point wouldn't have fetched a great return. And trading Bogdan Bogdanovic for Dante DiVincenzo, who's an asset of a similar level, is a pretty solid deal in my opinion, as you get rid of a guy that had some overlap with the rest of your roster and bring in someone that has a more team-specific skill set that is also a pretty good player and one of the more overrated young players in the entire NBA, in my opinion. He'll probably come off the bench for this team, but he can be a really solid option as a third guard who can play both the 1 and the 2. I'm sure we'll see him play alongside both De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield. He's a pretty good defender, can shoot the ball a little bit. He needs to make improvements there, but with how hard of a worker we know that Dante is, I'm sure that he will continue to get in the gym and improve that jump shot. His playmaking and off the bounce stuff also could use some improvement, but like I said before, we know of him as a guy with a great work ethic, and I believe that he will continue to improve. DJ Wilson is an energy guy who has shown maybe that he can be a floor spacer at some point in the future, is a solid rebounder, and can do some stuff on the defensive end as a rim protector, but he always failed to make the playoff rotations for the Bucks. So for that reason, I believe that his progression just wasn't coming along the way you would like to see it. He's not much of a guy for the Kings to get, but he worked as a salary matcher, and he is still very young. He's in his 4th season in the NBA this upcoming year and will be up for an extension following the year, so I'm sure that his play this season will really determine what his contract situation is looking like for the future. The last guy they got, Ersan Ilyasova. They have some depth at the power forward position with Marvin Bagley, Nemanja Bjelica, and Jabari Parker. So either they're going to play Ersan in some backup 5 minutes, they're going to waive him, or they're going to look to trade him. I don't think that he has much value, but Maybe you can get a second round pick for him as a role player who can give you some minutes, but he really didn't play well for the Bucks last year, so I don't think that too many teams would be willing to trade for him. I'm sure there would be some interest in signing him for the minimum, however, if the Kings were to cut him, and I think that that's probably the most likely outcome since I just don't really see him getting any minutes for this team. So overall, acquiring Dante DiVincenzo in exchange for Bogdan Bogdanovic seems to be a solid move for the Kings overall. It is a bit of a downgrade in terms of talent, but if they weren't going to be able to keep Bogdanovic around anyways, bringing in a really good asset in exchange for him looks like a solid deal for the Kings. And I'm a big Dante DiVincenzo fan. I'm higher on him than most, so for that reason, I'm going to give the Kings a B for this trade. It is a downgrade in talent, but I just think that getting any kind of value back for Bogdan makes this a bit of a win for the Kings. Overall, really, really interesting day for the Bucks. Very exciting day. I'm proud to be a Bucks fan today. I'm going to be wearing my hat. I'm going to be wearing my jersey all day long. Very, very pumped for this upcoming season now. We'll see what blocks continue to fall. I have a video coming out later today talking about my 5 favorite players in the draft. Another video talking about the Robert Covington trade to the Trailblazers, and that's another really interesting one to me. So keep an eye out for those videos coming up. I hope that you all enjoyed this video. Leave a like and subscribe if you did. In summary, the Kings get a B+ for trading for Dante DiVincenzo. The Pelicans get an A for trading for Drew Holiday. The Bucks get, for trading Drew Holiday for first round picks. The Bucks get a B for trading for Drew Holiday. Or did I say B+? I can't remember. And I think I said an A for trading for Bogdan Bogdanovic. So overall, I think that all of these teams did pretty well in this trade. If anyone didn't do well, it was the Kings, as they had a bit of a downgrade in talent, but really, I just think that these are 2 win-win trades, and I'm very, very happy as a Bucks fan and excited to see what this team looks like next season, and hopefully Giannis signs the Supermax. But like I said, if you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments section who you think won these trades. That's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you all again very soon.